The Soul Redeemer, Chapter 8, Inside My Mind. The Healing Room. Nicole approached the door slowly and saw that there was a short flight of stairs. As they descended, she was unprepared for what she saw. It was like a hospital room with many people lying in beds. "What is this place?" she asked. "This is my healing room, the place where I care for my people, those who have chosen to believe in me, but who are too weak, sick, wounded, or vulnerable to function in the world," he answered. "Some are here for a short time, while others are here much longer, and then there are some who will never be ready to leave my care until they enter the place I am preparing for them in heaven, even now." Jesus stepped inside the door, and Nicole suddenly knew that she needed to follow him into this place. As she entered, he turned her attention to a boy who was sitting in a wheelchair with a look of great concentration and determination on his face. "This boy was badly damaged many years ago," Jesus said. "Last week he laid his unbelief at the foot of the cross and has been practicing faith since that time. I'm so very glad that you chose to join me today for such a time as this." At that very moment, the boy pushed himself up out of his chair and stood on his own 2 feet. And as his feet touched the floor and he took his first step, the boy was instantly transformed into a man. The room became filled with joyous activity. Healing angels and ministering angels joined hands as they floated upwards and swirled around the room, rejoicing. Nicole was also aware of some others holding huge blazing swords of fire that were standing in the corners of the room. They were smiling, even though they had not entered into this celebration with dancing. Jesus noticed her curiosity and explained that they were warrior angels watching over and guarding those in the healing room. As she glanced back over at the boy who had matured in the course of a second, Jesus said, "A part of his mind and his emotions have been stuck in the trauma of this experience. Through facing the pain of it and then renouncing unbelief and choosing faith, he has been released and now is free to be the man he was created to be." Nicole pondered all of these things she was seeing in this healing room, and then she said quietly, almost fearfully, "I was in this room, wasn't I?" "Yes, you were, for quite some time. Since you were 4 years old, actually. My holy servants cared lovingly for you day and night. They read you my words and sang you my songs that fed your spirit and helped you to gain strength. Then came the day when you were ready to be released. Not long after that, you found your way to the door and entered my kingdom of love," he responded. Nicole realized that the songs she had heard Jesus sing in the tabernacle were familiar because she had heard them sung over her countless times in this room. It was then that she noticed a very large cross at the end of the room. It was not pretty to look at, and yet she was unable to take her eyes off of it. Even though she didn't fully understand, the beauty of what it stood for began to draw her further into the room, closer to it. Jesus walked beside her and began to explain that when she had chosen to give her life to him, he had taken her sin and removed it as far away from her as the east is from the west. He told her that she was completely cleansed and forgiven, but that her soul, her mind, will, and emotions still carried the wounds and the pain of the past, that she still believed some of the lies the enemy had planted in her thinking. As they approached the cross, Jesus explained to her that the black bundles she had seen him carry to the altar were the things that his people had chosen to release and had laid down at the foot of the cross, things that they had been trusting in and relying on apart from him. For some, it was choosing to exchange anger and bitterness for forgiveness. For others, it was choosing the way of humility, surrender, and obedience over selfish ambitions and pride. Still others chose to release physical suffering for joy. The number of potential problems was endless, he told her, but the results were always the same. When people chose to hear the truth of his word and chose to release those things to him that had been hindering their relationship with him, he was then able to break the bondages of the enemy and bring healing to the wounded places of their body, soul, and spirit. Jesus was quiet for a moment, and then he gently said, Nicole, I have begun an awakening process in you and have brought you into this healing room for a purpose. There are defensive walls inside your mind that I have allowed to be there for a period of time as a means of protection. But now it is time to begin breaking down those walls because they have become a hindrance rather than a help. As long as there is division in your mind, there are dark places. This will be a very long, hard process, but it is time for me to begin to reveal the truth and to dispel the darkness and the power of the enemy that is hiding in there. For you see, he is manipulating you with his vile and destructive patterns of thought and behavior. You can't combat this and overcome unless you know the truth. Nicole, will you trust me? Are you willing to allow me to do this for you, for us? Nicole pondered all that she had seen and heard. She replied, Jesus, I hear what you're saying, and I don't fully understand it. But I do trust you, and I want to be the person you created me to be. So yes, I will allow you to do whatever you need to do in me. As she spoke words of surrender, it seemed as if she could see Jesus taking a key out of his heart and unlocking something inside her mind. She felt little Nicky hug her and say, I'm so sorry that you have to know these things that will hurt so much. And instantly some of the memories of a satanic ritual and her mother's involvement made their way into Nicole's consciousness. The pain of the memories was so intense that she doubled over and dropped to the floor, gasping for breath. In the outside world, Nicole had been trying to take a nap, but the events going on in the inside of her mind were preventing her from sleep. She was fully aware of little Nicky and her memories now, and she was experiencing them physically, just as she was inside her mind. Her body had stiffened in terror and stress, and she began gasping for breath. Jake was awakened from his sleep when Nicole screamed and then began a mournful wailing and crying that continued for several hours. He was unable to understand what was wrong, but he patiently held his wife and prayed for her through the next couple of hours as memories and emotions that had been buried for 30 years began to surface. She was experiencing body memories as well, physical feelings and smells attached to the memories and emotions which had all been tucked away by little Nicky. She had done a very good job of hiding them from Nicole in order to keep her protected from the pain. Inside the healing room in Nicole's mind, at least a dozen large angels had surrounded her. Knowing her pain and sorrow, Jesus knelt down beside her and prayed for her in his spirit, as only he knew how to do. He understood a broken heart more than anyone, and even though he knew that he could and would heal this one, he also knew that it would be a process. Little Nicky had been unable to cry or to express any of the feelings and emotions tied to the trauma of the ritual so many years before, and it was time for those emotions to begin to surface so that he could heal his beloved's broken heart and replace the sorrow with joy, hope, healing, and freedom. Nicole, will you give your emotions to me? Jesus asked. Because of the pain, again she wasn't sure what he meant, but she said, Yes, Lord, take 'em. Immediately, Jesus showed her a visual of what was happening. Her emotions were in a large pot hanging over a fire. They were all tangled together, but she could see some of the individual emotions rising to the top as they swirled around. She saw anger, rejection, abandonment, self-pity, pain, and on, and she saw a demon with an impish face standing next to the pot, feeding the flames. He had a large poker stick in his hand, and every little bit he would stick it into the pot and poke around as he stirred. The effect was a magnification of whichever emotion was being poked, as well as a constant state of chaos and confusion. Jesus, help me! What does this mean? She cried out. I created you with emotions, he replied, good as well as bad, and they are neither right nor wrong. The good bring pleasure, joy, and peace, a reminder of my love and kingdom treasure. The bad are to be indicators that something is not right, so that you will bring them to me and allow me to reveal the troubled spots so they can be fixed. However, Satan assigns his demons to watch for open doors, and if you do not guard your heart, he will take your emotions captive and then torment you with them. I feel so overwhelmed. What do you want me to do? Nicole asked. In the past, as you have listened to lies in your mind about feelings, you have given permission and rights to this demon, whose function is to keep you in a state of constant emotional pain. Will you renounce those lies and give me permission to remove the demon that is feeding the flames so that the hope and healing can take place? Yes, all that, she agreed. All right, my little one. However, I want you to understand that one of Satan's biggest tricks is to assign many demons to hover and watch for emotional entry points. Once this demon is gone, you must be on guard, for there are others with poker sticks waiting for the opportunity to heat up your emotions, to prick them and stir you up, hoping that through an emotional reaction rather than a godly response, they will be able to gain a stronghold. Jesus went on to explain that she must not allow her emotions to rule her life or her decisions. When you are in constant communication with me, I will be your guide rather than your feelings, and you will be safe. After several hours inside and outside her mind, Nicole lay exhausted emotionally, mentally, and physically. She felt as if she had been through the biggest fight of her life, and even her body hurt. But something was different. When her tears had subsided, inside her mind, Nicole was aware of someone singing, and it was a new song, a song she had never heard before. She lay quiet, listening to praises of Almighty God, great in power and awesome in love. Cantors sang of peace, no matter the circumstances, and of victory through the blood of the Lamb of God. It magnified Jesus of Nazareth, her healer, deliverer. It spoke of the power of his shed blood and gave praise to the Spirit who was the comforter and guide that would lead her into all truth, hope, healing, and freedom. Jesus leaned forward and whispered into her ear, Nicole, this is your song, the new song of your new life. Nicole was very grateful that it was not one of hopelessness and despair. But even though the power of the pain had been washed away, she realized that in its place was sorrow. Sorrow for what she had been through as the truth concerning her life came into the light of consciousness. The type of sorrow one experiences in times of great loss. And she told Jesus this, Lord, thank you for the song, but I am so very sad. I don't think I'll ever be able to sing again. Jesus lovingly stroked her cheek and said, Nicole, you are grieving. That is good even if it doesn't feel like it. You will be sad for a short while, but then my joy will break through this night and your mourning will be turned into dancing. You will see the reality of this song and it will become yours in every way very soon. As you begin to comprehend these things, you will go through the grieving process many times and will experience other things such as fear, doubt, and anger. But just call out to me when these things come upon you, and I will show you my truth and walk with you through those times. I will always lead you through to victory. I am the one who overcomes, and as you are in me, you will overcome as well. So don't worry, my little one. All is well, and in time, my time, your life will sing this very song. It was all too fresh for Nicole to comprehend, and she was very tired. Jesus picked her up off the floor and laid her down on a little cot nearby. As Nicole slept peacefully in the healing room, outside of her mind, her body also gave way to sleep. And just as she drifted off, she was sure that if she had opened her eyes, she would have seen several angels who were singing peace over her.